Good afternoon, fellow punters. Mickey D with you here on a special weekend in Keenland, Kentucky for the Breeders' Cup. I'm wearing my Breeders' Cup jacket. I bought this in 1994 in Churchill Downs, the day that a young Italian 19-year-old called Lanfranco di Torre won his first Breeders' Cup on a horse called Baratea in the Judmont colours. No, it wasn't. It was in the Sheikh Mohammed colours, and it was for Luca Comani. We're there the day. It was Team in a Rain, and I had read somewhere that Luca Comani had built a turn in Churchill Downs at home similar. So to get a bit of experience into him, and I said, if that man is going to such trouble, he must have a chance. Hadn't heard of Frankie Dettori at the time. On the way in, they were looking for $750 for this jacket. We took a good few pound off them that day, so I bought it on the way out for half price, 50% off. So I have it since. It's as warm as wool. I only wear it when there's snow or frost on the ground. Has been lucky to me down through the years. So let's hope we can get the price of another tomorrow and Saturday. I'll be going through some of the cards, and I'll be talking to Stig later about the weekend, big National Hunt weekend, and he'll be getting his picks for the weekend. So I'll talk more about the Breeders' Cup when I do the one for Saturday. The first race that I want to look at is the 6:15 is the one before the Breeders' Cup first one. There's a horse there. I think we could get off to a good start. Was it's they used to call it the marathon. It's a mile 5. It's Rattle and Roll. It's drawn, as you can see, in the number 1 slot. It has won at the track. It had a sort of a bad old spin the last time, but it ran on well. It's rated 108. It only carries 8 stone 6 for Kinney McPeak. It won a grade 1 as a 2-year-old and to 6th in the Bluegrass this year. It's a 5-2 shot, so I think we could get off to a good start with that. The first Breeders' Cup race then is the Juvenile Turf Sprint. As you can see, the Platinum Queen is the favourite. This was first run in Churchill Downs in 2018. It's a grade 1 for the first time this year. Go Bears Go was second last year, and that's the best European placing. All 4 run-ins won by the favourite or the second favourite, and 3 of the 4 has been won by Wesley Ward. All 4 winners went wire to wire, so it broke well and went out well in front. The Platinum Queen for the UK won the Prix de l'Abbey in Longchamp. It's which is getting a big weight allowance as a 2-year-old for Richard Fahey, Holly Doyle. It's drawn 12, so it won't be easy. Love Reigns for the aforementioned Wesley Ward is 2 for 3. The only time it lost was on a straight track in Royal Ascot. A lot of them don't like that, but going around to the turn, it won in Saratoga, and it's as you can see, there's 4-1 in place to the 137-2. That is my selection, Love Reigns. The 740 is the Juvenile fillies. 8.5 furlongs, 14 declared to run. 6 of the last 15 favourites won. Ekozula won it last year as the favourite. The favourite has won this 7 of the last times the Breeders' Cup has been held in Kentucky. The Frozette in New York is the leading prep run, has been won 7 times. And that was won this year by Chocolate Gelato. It was a sloppy track. But he broke his maiden impressively in Saratoga on a good dry surface. So I'm going with Chocolate Gelato. And I think Chop Chop at 6-1, you see there with Bet365. I think that is a good each way shout as well. The next race is the 2020, the 820, the Juvenile fillies, the Turf Mile. Pizza Bianca won it last year for Christopher Clement. That was his first winner. Chad Brown has won it with 5 of his 20 starters in this race. 2 European winners in 2012 and 2013. Aidan O'Brien has had 3 seconds. 10 of the last 13 winners had won last time out. The low draw is a plus. Pleasant Passage is a front runner for Shug McGahy, a good New York trainer, and Delight is a front runner as well. And Mediate likes to get up at the pace as well. That won the Albany in Royal Ascot. It has 6 starts, 4 wins, 2 seconds, and both them seconds were in Group 1 company. I was thinking that might be a fast pace in this, and might be breakneck speed. And I thought Last Call, it's a big price there. It's at 16s and it's at 14s, 12s. It showed a nice turn of foot mid-race in Woodbine the last time. And that was a sort of a change of tactics, I thought, from the previous runs. And Frankie Dettori is up, and Frankie wouldn't get up on an ace. And they're paying 4 places, I see, and I think actually a couple is paying 5. I thought that was worth a spin at 16 or 18 or 16 to 1 there. Last Call. Check them out for the best prices. Then the 9 o'clock or the 2100 is the Juvenile. As you can see there, Cave Rock is a money on shot. Corniche won it last year. A West Coast horse. 5 of the last 15 favourites have won. That's 33%. The Champagne Stakes is the big prep race for this. 9 of the last 15 have already won a group race prior to running in this. 11 of the 15 winners of this race won from stalls 4 to stalls 7 inclusive. So Cave Rock is in 3. It looks like it's going to be it is 1 3 for 3 for Bob Baffert. It's out of Arrogate. That's a classic winner. That's the most likely winner. And I was thinking of Cave Rock. I had done 4 to 5. It's 8 to 11 there. And Flightline at 1 to 2. That would be a 13 to 8 double. The two of them sort of, I don't think will be beaten. A placed horse there, or with betting without the favourite, or for each way punchers. Blazing Sevens won the Champagne in New York on a sloppy track, but it had won prior to on better ground. And then the last race on the Friday night is the Juvenile Turf, 14 declared. Modern Games won this last year when you couldn't have a bet on him. Only 2 favourites in the last 15 years. Charlie Appleby has 3 wins. Aidan O'Brien has 4, and Chad Brown has only 1 for 14 with the starters. 9 of the 15 winners were trained in Europe, and 10 of the 15 winners drawn inside 5. So that was 1 to 5 posts, and that suits the favourite, which is Silver Knot. But I thought Victoria Road. Now that was a way bigger price last night. I see there it's gone into 7 to 1, and it's in 5s in places. That was a double figure price last night. It's a late developer, I thought, and won a maiden over 7 furlongs in Gordon Park in August. Won a listed race and a Group 3 in France on Good to Soft. It's out of Saxon Warrior, so nice quick ground will be better for a turn of foot. It's drawn in 1, so Ryan Moore should be good enough to get good position there. And maybe a reverse forecast with Silver Knot. I see that the two of them have been successful enough in that regard. One good memory of the Breeders' Cup was Ridgewood Pearl running in years ago, and the commentator at the track at the day says the English filly coming up the middle, and I was wondering had the right horse, and was I looking at the right horse at all. That was in the famous Anne Coughlin colours. John Ox trained it like so. Another good memory was Theatrical winning for 1987 for used to be running with Dermot Weld. It won the Durnstown and the Ballysacks, and then it went over. I'm going to ask the Stig to come in at this point and ask him what tickled his fancy in the last week. And I see Pied Piper is out tomorrow. Mighty Potter is making its debut over Fences. That won a grade 1 in Punchestown after being pulled up behind Constitution Hill in the Supreme. Time Hill is starting off as well, but it's an 8-year-old. The Halden Cup is on tomorrow. Any views on that? Grenadine won it 2 years ago. Eldorado won it last year, and we have Saturday. Then we have Galvin out in the. It used to be the J.W. Nicholson. It's the Ladbrokes Chase up north now, and any views on the Sefton Chase on Saturday. Steo the Barman will be the beneficiary this week of his selections. Don't think we turned anything last week. Friday, my selections. I'll try and get them in the next couple of minutes. Teddy Blue in the 105 at Fontwell. It's rated 129. I've no prices for this because it's only 2 o'clock on Thursday. But I've been keeping good company since it came from France. The second to night salute in the Adane, and it was tinted the Triumph Hurl in the that should win tomorrow. In the 12.55 at Down Royal, Jungle Prose for Gordon Elliott. Done us a good turn in Thurles there recently. And it's up £12. It's only a 7-year-old. But it's 97 now, but it was 104 when it was in England. So I think that might be still ahead of the handicapper. No price. Maybe we might do a double there as well. And on Friday night, it's always Dundalk night, isn't it? There's a listed race there at 7:30. And you can see number 5 there, even though it's drawn high for Kevin Prendergast, Mehnah. That won first time out in Dundalk over 7 furlongs. And it's out of Frankel. It's 2 for 4. It's owned by Shadwell. It's a homebred actually. And it's only 2 runs last year then, but the second in the Guineas trial in Leopardstown. Won a listed race in Killarney last July. 1 run this year. It's on soft ground. It didn't seem to suit. They weren't too busy on it. I think that might rock up tomorrow night. And an each way selection in the 8 o'clock. I have a bit of a head cold now. Excuse me. I'm doing a bit of snuffling. A mile in the 8 o'clock tomorrow night. It's the horse there that I want to get on the bus because I think it might win again soon. Is Whatharm. 6 times a course winner. It's now rated 95, but it won off 64, 69, 75, 83, 85 and 93. It was injured for a year. It was running over the wrong trips lately, but I like the way it ran sort of in the races. That it's getting fit. It's only 7. It may not win tomorrow night. We might have an each play. I think it could be a big prize tomorrow night, but we'll get him on the bus for when it's going to win, I think, over the winter in Dundalk. So the Breeders' Cup is on again Saturday. I'll be doing another video for the Breeders' Cup races. I'll keep this separate for the tips, and I'll get the Stig's opinion on the weekend and get his 5 of last week, and if he fancies for the week, and he'll be giving you the nap, the next best, and an each way selection. So as I said, Steo the Barman is the beneficiary this week. So we have a few horses running today. I think the Boom Boom was pulled out in the first race, and it was in 5 to 4 into 1 to 2, and I don't know why it was pulled out, but we might get him again.
Thank you, Mickey D, for your Breeders' Cup study and information. There are a lot of nuggets to take out of that going into the weekend. So just looking back at last week's selections, Ahoy Senor didn't turn up for whatever reason. He did the same the previous season, where on his first run he didn't take to his fencing. He looked still like a novice the last day. He made one great leap down the back on his first circle, but after that his jumping seemed to fall apart. No, it's clear enough that we could draw a line through that run. He's not that bad. Brave Man's Game showed that he is still one of the best jumpers around, putting in a lovely round of jumping, and that really puts him right now for the King George in Kempton on Boxing Day. However, I do think Allaho is on track to make that race also, and I would really fancy Allaho to go there and beat Brave Man's Game in that race. So moving on to this week's selections, my nap this week is going to be a double, and it's going to be Galvin in the Ladbrokes Champion Chase and Down Royal, and it's going to be doubled up with So Royale in the Elite Hurdle. Now with Galvin, this horse has been outlined for this race all year. Gordon has come out and said that this is the race for him, and this is going to be his Gold Cup this year. I don't think he's going to meet a horse of the calibre of Frodon like he did last year, although he does have tough opposition in Conflated, but I do think Conflated is better going left-handed, and last year he took he needed the first run last year whereas Galvin has had his run and he's in full flight for this race this year, so I think he will oblige in the Ladbrokes Champion Chase. Moving on then to Sceu Royale. This horse is a little machine. If I could own any horse, it would probably be this fella, in that he turns up in all these grade 2, grade 3 races and picks up lovely prize money for his connections. Although he falls short of grade 1 level, maybe because he was behind Altior a good few times, I do think this horse has a mighty engine. He jumps for fun. On his racing debut this year, his jumping wasn't as slick as it usually was, so it showed that he still had a bit of ring rust, and I think he will come on an awful lot for that run and will take all the beating here. So the nap is the double, Sceu Royale and Galvin. It's paying out just over 3-1 at the current prices. My next best selection this week is going to be the Model Kingdom for Noel Meade and Brian Cooper. I was actually in Navan the day she won her listed bumper, and I thought she was quite impressive on the day and showed good battling qualities. Navan is a hard place to get home. It's all uphill once they turn in, and it usually takes a good mare to get up that hill in front and be there at the very end of the finish line, and I was impressed that day. She went on then to win a grade 3 mare's bumper in Punchestown, where she beat the likes of a reopposing horse in this race, Nikini, and then went to run on the flat and gave herself way too much to do in soft to heavy conditions in Roscommon, and was just beaten on the day by, I think, a poor ride. She then went on to win her mare's maiden hurdle in Tipperary 2 weeks ago, going off at a short price of 1-6, and won it as easy as she likes. I think this horse will take high rank in the mare's novices this year. Now, she may not come out the best in Cheltenham, but I do think she will be a mare to follow throughout the season, and I'd be disappointed if she doesn't pick up some nice pots along the way. There are some good horses inside here, but some of them are making their reappearance, such as Liberty Dance, who I also followed a bit last year as well. However, I do think the Model Kingdom is a mare to keep on side this season. She's shown that she has an appetite for hurdling already, winning, I know, at short price, but she still has to go out and do it and win, and she did it very impressively and very easily. So she's going to be my next best selection for the weekend. She's running in Down Royal and the 1:30 on Friday. My last selection for the weekly show this week is going to be Lifetime Ambition for Jessica Harrington, and Sean O'Keefe is taking the ride in the Grand Sefton in Aintree on Saturday. This horse went off favourite for the Grade 1 Drimmore last year in Fairyhouse, and was also entered this weekend in Down Royal. However, Jessie has gone to go away from Down Royal and go to Aintree for this race, so I think that's a telltale sign in itself, and at 9-1 I think is a great each way selection for the race. The horse was very impressive last year in Down Royal, so again, to go away from Down Royal and come here for the race instead, I think speaks volumes. I do think the horse is better over 3 miles, but 2 mile 5 for his first run back of the season I think will be perfect for him. He jumps very well, and he tends to be in the first 3 the majority of times he runs, so I think 9-1 is a great each way selection for the Grand Sefton. If you have made it this far into the video, just from myself to Stig and Mickey D, we're really appreciative of all the listeners and hope you are finding value in the weekly show. So that is all from myself, and
from the Bookie Basher, it's over and out.